Good evening and welcome to the social network. Lots and lots of buzz online today. We bring you all of that and lots more. But first, our top story. 24 hours after Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi went to Jantar Mantar and met the protesting students and promised firm action and a helpline, it's Arvind Kejriwal's turn today, who takes centre stage at Jantar Mantar to become one of the many growing voices now demanding justice for the death of Nido Tanyam, the 20-year-old student from Arunachal Pradesh who died last week. He's talked of a magisterial inquiry to find the guilty and also the inclusion of northeastern literature in some Delhi schools. Both attempts at political engagement. Contrast that with what we saw this morning. Aam Aadmi Party protesters shouting slogans against senior BJP leader Arjun Sheoran at his house because he has been accused by the AAP of offering bribes to bring down the Delhi government. The BJP workers then arrived carrying placards calling Kejriwal a thief, completely in tune with a script on old-style politics, replicated in the online space also, where all three parties stand guilty of investing heavily into simply defacing and derailing opponents. On social media, for example, the hashtag #MyManifesto is dominating the trends, also the hashtag #PollCall. But even a quick look at some of the top tweets show very clearly that these are all about one-upmanship and hardly anything at all to do with constructive engagement. So that's what we look at on the social network today. First, deflect, defame, defeat, BJP, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress-style democracy. Let's quickly show you some of the pages that we've actually found on social media, which are quite interesting in terms of how much effort has actually gone into trying to defame each other. If you can just try and bring that up on our screens. And that, of course, is the Facebook pages which talk about hating Aam Aadmi Party. Then there is, of course, a page which talks about quitting the Aam Aadmi Party, and it talks about many reasons why everybody who is supporting Aam Aadmi should in fact quit it. Then also on Twitter, a quick look at the Twitter page, and My Manifesto, the hashtag as we talked about, is trending pretty much right on top. And a whole bunch of the tweets on My Manifesto are in fact just about name-calling each other from the different political parties. So to talk to us a little bit more about what all of this means on the ground, we're joined by Arjun Sheoran, who's a lawyer and activist. He joins us from Chandigarh. We're also joined by Vinay Sitapati, who joins us from Princeton in the United States. He's a researcher at the Princeton University. And with us in the studio, we've got Niha Kamal, who is the Unmanifesto's campaign coordinator. All right, Arjun, I want to start with you first. You know, what we saw today in the morning, the kind of visuals that we saw across the television cameras as well, was Aam Aadmi Party guys doing pretty much what they have accused the other two parties of doing in an old-style politics. Why did they resort to that, especially given that they were protesting about something that remains completely unsubstantiated?
Well, I agree with you on that. It may seem that it is old-style politics. It may seem that they are doing something very characteristic of establishment parties. But I have a different take on this. I think what AAP volunteers might have be doing today is a show of democracy. When you try to show an opposition leader, a fairly powerful opposition leader, that what you've been doing, all this backroom dealing, all this horse trading or attempts to it, is wrong, and we will protest to it. We must understand this is not the court of law, so maybe when these people in their own understanding go out and protest against the actions, or at least alleged action of all these BJP leaders, I frankly don't see anything much wrong with them. I think this is very much part of democracy, and I would encourage it.
Vinay, do you see that as these protests as a part of democracy, or do you see this pretty much as Aam Aadmi Party following in the same line as the Congress and the BJP have done for so many years now?
No, thank you for inviting me again, Kashish. Are you there?
Yes, Vinay, go on.
Yeah, I don't think this is democracy at all. What is it that they're protesting about? They're protesting about a bribery allegation. That bribery allegation is a crime under the Prevention of Corruption Act. They should file an FIR. They should ask the police to investigate. They should provide evidence. So there is a court of law. There is investigative mechanisms available for them to actually protest through the system. Now, if you compare this to their previous protests, which they were protesting against the constables who they wanted suspended, that was a legitimate protest, because the larger point they were making is that Delhi police is not under the Delhi government. We have no option working through the system. That's why we have to work outside the system. That's why we have to protest. I mean, Gandhiji protested against the British precisely because the mechanisms of protest were not available within the system, which forced him to go outside. Now, in the case of the AAP allegation that BJP is trying to split them, it's a crime under Indian law. Let them provide evidence. Let them, AAP are sting masters. Let them provide video evidence, audio evidence. Let them name people, and let the police do its job. If the police is still not doing its job, if the police is deliberately not working, then then it's ideal for AAP to protest. But today was not about democracy; it was about AAP politics.
So, Arjun, if this is about AAP politics, is what many people are saying, I mean, you could have just simply taken it to the law and order machinery and let them handle that. But, I mean, this is not just on the ground, but even online, as we showed some of the pages that we showed. Of course, there is a huge amount of, there's a huge amount of effort by other political parties to try and defame you. But that's no different from what you guys spend a huge amount of time doing as well, is to put out, very, very defamatory tweets and comments on Facebook and other social networking sites as well.
No, I agree that there are many people out there on the social networks, on social media, who take it a little too personally, frankly. I also agree that people take positions, people make it very, very personal to their being, and then they fight it out on social media. But the point is this. I think, when people get down and instead of, throwing big bats or physically fighting with each other, are talking, or at least even if they are shouting at each other on social media, it is still showing that there is some form of engagement. I say this because this shows that there is some scope for change that might happen within 3 months or 4 months. Regarding the point that Vinay made, that they could have gone to the court of law, I agree. They should ideally go to the court of law as well. However, at the same time, in a democracy, it is very legitimate to go and protest about something which is wrong. Now, for example, in the case of the death of the Northeastern student, we know that, of course, a police complaint has been filed, investigations are going on, but at the same place, at Jantar Mantar, you have a protest and Rahul Gandhi comes there, Arvind Kejriwal comes there. That is also a legitimate process because people feel strongly about it. Similarly, some AAP volunteers felt strongly about the alleged allegations against Mr. Jaitley. And I don't think the AAP government did anything regarding it. So if they go and protest, what is so wrong with it?
Okay, Arjun, Vinay, I'm going to come back to you in just a couple of minutes. Niha, as somebody who is become very, very engaged in this entire political process, as we see it now, and especially weeks before the election, how are you looking at the Aam Aadmi Party vis-a-vis the other parties and all of these headlines that they seem to be making for both their style of politics, a new type of doing things? I mean, when was the last time you saw a Delhi chief minister become a part of a protest? And then, of course, the other thing about going to opposition parties and protesting outside their house for something that they really should have gone to the state machinery to handle.
Right. So actually, I feel, because we are actually working a lot with young people, so I actually bring their voices here. So I feel there are mixed emotions, because a lot of young people also felt that they could be engaged in politics by supporting Aam Aadmi Party, and they went ahead and did that. In fact, the process that we are doing, sort of collecting demands with young people and then approaching political parties and trying to sort of get our demands included in their manifestos, Aam Aadmi Party also accepted one of the demands and put it in their manifestos. So actually they sort of instilled a hope in them. But right now it's kind of a mixed emotions, because like when you look at them accepting the youth demands, you look at them accepting, trying to sort of get engaged with young people, trying to get them into the governance where, we didn't see any young person in the cabinet or in the governance of India. So that is there, but also there are things like the Somnath Bharti case that happened and all of it. So right now it's a little mixed kind of this thing. But then what I would say right now is that the youth are willing to engage in the political process, willing to be engaged in the democracy and in the governance. So if Aam Aadmi Party will give that kind of hope and that kind of inclusion to the young people, the young population of India, then Aam Aadmi Party will definitely
do well. Okay, I'm just going to quickly give the last comment to Vinay, because Vinay was trying to make a point earlier. Vinay, quickly, the last comment is for you.
No, two quick things. If the larger issue which AAP was protesting is the fact that there's a lot of money and bribery that goes on in politics, they should have gone to Jantar Mantar, and that's a larger protest. They are targeting a BJP MP without any evidence. They should instead go to court, wait for the police to conduct the investigation. But Kashif, there's a larger question here, which is that the large anti-Congress wave that you see in India is of two parts. There's a wave in favor of governance, and there's a wave against all politicians. The wave which is that sub politicians chor hai. And AAP and the BJP is choosing the easy route of focusing on anti-politics, that all politicians are terrible, all politicians are corrupt, instead of coming up with systemic elements of change. Right. When AAP does it, like the recent Lokpal draft, it does a good job. But when it does protests like this, it is pushing the baser instincts of the voter, and that's likely to backfire. Right.
Vinay and Arjun and Niha, I'm going to have to leave it here, but a lot of the comments that we're actually getting on our Twitter feed right now many of them are echoing the fact that the Aam Aadmi Party needs to be careful that it doesn't stray away from its promise of a new style politics. Thanks all of you so much for coming on the social network.